Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and others to the most must-see nerd podcast in the entire multiverse, JB versus the podcast. I'm your host, JB. Today, we're talking Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, all spoilers, all everything. We ain't holding back nothing. I got my boy, Mark Leary, Blurredography, with me.
What's up, everybody?
Got Marcel Williams, the content bebop.
What's going on, y'all? Hello.
We about to get right into it. Let's not waste any more time. So, let's go.
I know you got some things to say. Me and you kind of have an interesting background when it comes to movies and productions and things. So I kind of want to nitpick your brain about it a little bit because I know where you're going to go with some things. But let's just go ahead and jump into it. This is going to be 100% spoilers. I'm not going to waste my time with spoiler-free stuff. If you haven't seen the movie by now, you are late, and you should have caught up with the rest of us. It's Tuesday by now, about the time we're recording this. So come on. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Where should we start first?
I think we should start with the story.
Well, I do. There's something I want to say beforehand because I think when I first started doing Blurcast, we was talking about seeing Black Panther 2 and leading up to it and everything that had happened. And I think one of the things I believe JB had mentioned was, not wanting to see a funeral in the movie. And essentially that's kind of what we got.
They ripped the band off pretty early with it, and that was the one thing I did not want for this movie because it's the permanence of the death of T'Challa, and I feel like that could have been avoided. I understand why. Of course it makes sense why. Like, obvious things are obvious. But I kind of feel like there was some workarounds. I had some issues with the how though. With T'Challa being ill. The heart-shaped herb grants a healing factor. So it's like, why would that healing factor not kick in? Why would you double down on a heart-shaped herb when you already have it? And that would be the cure. Also, it's been proven that they could put people in stasis in Wakanda to freeze them up completely. So how come that wasn't an option either? So, and these are things that they've done. Yeah, those are things they've done previously in the film. So it's like, why wasn't those options exercised? Or why was the heart-shaped herb even a factor when that was already a thing? And even if it wasn't, you've had years to try to figure this out in between time. Like, Killmonger at this point has been dead time-wise, even with the snap included, it's been about 10 years. So why didn't you figure this out or get closer to figuring this out in between time? If you really wanted to go that route. Most advanced people in the world. But the death adds a level of permanence that I didn't really want them to do. I still feel like T'Challa should be recast. Not now, because it is what it is. But I feel like eventually they should, and this kind of makes it a little bit more difficult, a little bit more convoluted when they do it eventually.
Okay, that's very interesting. Very interesting take on it. I get where you're coming from, but I disagree. But before I give why I disagree, I want to hear Marcel's take on that. What did you think about that? Was it something you was looking forward to? Or how did that affect you going into Black Panther 2? We know Chadwick Boseman passed away because of his own personal illness and how he withheld that from the public and Disney itself. How did that have your mindset going into the movie?
Well, it was a mixed bag because it's like, it's mixed bag. However, mostly, sadness, obviously. Because honestly, to this day, I still think he's one of the greatest that's ever do it. To be honest with you, he was great. Because for one part of you, like, excited, what are they going to do? They have to do something crazy. However, Disney just has a history of, not doing crazy good. You know what I mean? Like, they don't do crazy good. Mm-hmm. When they do something crazy, it's not a good thing. Or they do something extreme, it's not a good thing when they do that. So it's a mixed bag because you're like excited, like, man, what are they going to do? But at the same time, it's saddening to know that he won't be back because even if they recast him, which I still do believe they should have recasted him, but even if they did, who's gonna fill Chadwick Boseman's shoes? I mean, like it's impossible. And as we saw at the movie, clearly LaPisha, she can't do it. So
right.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, I'm trying to be very PC and nice with this review, but
I
she
mean, say
couldn't
what
do
you
it.
gotta say, man. You know,
I'm saying what I'm saying it the way I'm trying to say
stand on your own ground here, man.
it was you know, it was you know, it was I was excited and saddened at the same time. And now we saw the movie. I'm more sad. I'm more sad than I was before I saw it. Anyway.
If you know Marcel, you know what that means.
Yeah, okay. Man. So I agree and disagree with both of you. I was definitely team you should just recast T'Challa because the actor has died doesn't mean that the character has died. They have done it time and time again. You had Terrence Howard being War Machine in the first Iron Man movie, and you switch him out with Don Cheadle. So they've done these switches before, but out of the respect of what Chadwick Boseman was to the MCU and what he was to the culture and the community and just his prominence as an actor, I felt like they wanted to go this route to move on from him and give him his respect. And I can kind of get that. I agree with that.
Are we cussing here?
Sure.
Are we cussing? Okay. I do believe that Ryan, that he should be recast eventually. But I kind of feel like Ryan Coogler was on his personal shit, like on his friend shit with this. And I get it. I just kind of feel like not like by doing the funeral and doing it in a way that is undeniable. Nobody can argue that T'Challa's dead. That man gone. Like unless they want to say he a Skrull or something like down the road, that man is gone.
Maybe that was on the table before he passed, but I don't think they're going to go the Skrull route with T'Challa or oh my god,
him being a Skrull wouldn't even make much sense.
Right?
It wouldn't make much sense. But I think what you said, that they made this permanent. I think this was them saying like, "Hey, we're not gonna do anything else more with this character. He's now our Stan Lee. He's a god, in his, he rest in power. We're not gonna bring him back. We're gonna move forward." And you both are getting what you want. They are going to eventually recast him with T'Challa, son of T'Challa, but we'll get into that part towards the end.
I think ultimately though that. I think you have to recast him eventually, but you don't do it now. You may not even do it for the next one. You may not do it for the next 5 years or some change, but I do think it should be done. But this was part of this movie was a tribute, not just for like the fans, but for the cast and the friends that knew him personally, right. And
right.
Of course,
I 100% agree.
Like we're fans, you know what I'm saying? Like we're fans. Like our proximity to that man is just what we see on the screen,
right.
Whether it in a theater or on a TV screen, because he's done both, like over the course of our lives. And where we're at with where they're at with him and where they were with him, he was a friend, he was a castmate, he was a brother to a lot of them. Like he was family. He was their leading man. He was the anchor. He was the epicenter of their entire project. And he's no longer here. So, and they, if you had any excuse, if you had any reason to just want to just say, we're going to fuck off and not do this all. We're going to cancel this all together. We're just going to just scrap it and just move on. This is the time to do it. They could have. And they didn't. They opted not to. They rolled with it. And when you roll with something like this, given all the circumstances and the closeness of him to them, like this is a passion thing. And they had to do what they could with what they had. And by that metric, I think they stuck the landing. I think they stuck the landing.
I actually agree with you. I agree with you. I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm not. How can I say this? Not in a negative way. This kind of worked out for Disney with their overall theme of what Phase 4 was. Phase 4 was about grief and getting over all the trauma and everything that happened with the snap and the blip and all the people that we lost. It's time
Also
to grieve
legacy.
and mourn and get over it. And this, like, as bad as it is, we lost Chadwick Boseman. Black Panther being the end of Phase 4, and we giving T'Challa or Chadwick Boseman this huge send off within movie, which they've only done with Iron Man, kinda, and kind of Steve Rogers. No other Marvel Avengers characters had this kind of send off in their products. So this was a good landing point for them, and they did hit the target there. But they did miss the target in some other things that we'll talk about when we get into the story.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Marcel, you got anything?
I mean, objectively, I agree. Objectively, it was a good. Objectively, it really wasn't a bad movie. I mean, like you said, you can't bring someone back to life, unfortunately. So you got to work with what you got. And I mean, for what they had, it was had to work with. It was a good movie. I mean, yeah, I'm being objective here, but I mean, I would have probably made different choices. Personally, I would have recast him. But again, I'm not in the decision-making boardroom of Disney. I don't know what they have planned for Black Panther 3 or the future going forward. They may have something better than I could have thought of, you know what I mean? But so far, though, this does not excite me for the next one. But objectively, it was a good movie, like you all said. What they had to work with, it actually was not that bad. It's pretty good.
Cool. But let's go ahead and just jump into the story and just start talking about this, man.
Okay. All right, so where do we start with the story? All right, so I want to point out how, because of the white people meddling, the Black and the Hispanic folk got into
it. I'm gonna.
That's funny.
That is not funny, because that was the most unbelievable thing. Like, really, we both went through the same stuff with these people, and we go fight each other. That didn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. I just find it does not make sense. No, it does not.
It does, because Namor is like,
look
look,
that deep into it. Geez.
Namor is like, look, bro, I'm trying to go to war. Is you with me or is you against me? That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
But he didn't have no real purpose. Like, it's so weird. He didn't have no real purpose. But
he did have a purpose.
Know. I mean, his whole motivation behind what he did and why he was doing it just kind of, for me, didn't work. It really didn't work. Like that, I had a huge issue trying to believe that. Like, it was so many MacGuffins I had to just kind of get over, and like, okay, they did this, they're just doing this because it was in the comics and whatever. But like, in reality, some of that stuff doesn't work. Come on, you think the Aztecs?
What didn't work for you?
Yeah,
I thought his motivation's okay.
Yeah, I mean, from what he witnessed as a child, and what happened to his mother, and what happened with his people. And apparently, like, through the context, he didn't say directly through the context, they've moved Talokan around several times to avoid discovery.
And I got that.
And now that they're advancing, the surface is advancing enough that they can be discovered, and seeing what he's seen and the threat that could possibly cause, he's ready to go to war over it. That makes perfect sense.
Right, but to find an ally by murdering their queen, like, he murdered Queen Rwanda and was like, they're gonna be our allies. I'm like, really? He murdered their queen still.
I mean,
he was allies because he had to submit after the fight.
He kind of said it like, look, you keep messing around, you're gonna find out.
Yeah,
she made the move against him. She found out.
She didn't technically make that move. She didn't know what Shuri was doing. She didn't
make the move.
I mean, she just wanted her daughter back.
Yeah, she wanted her daughter back, but at the same time, though, she made that move to get her daughter back. I'm not against her getting her daughter back. She should get Shuri back. But at the same time, though, not only did you discovered where we were, you infiltrated my spot, you killed one of my people.
It was okay. That was an accident, but like, you don't kill the queen. You killed the leader just because some guard got accidentally killed in rescuing the queen's daughter. That just didn't make sense. Another thing that I kind of had issue with, I've looked at maps of hypothetically where Wakanda is in Africa. Where did they swim down the Nile River and hit Lake Victoria and somehow flood Wakanda that way? I'm thinking about it too much.
Doing way too good. I mean, I feel you, but you're doing like goodness. It's water. Water's everywhere. I don't know. Just let it go at some point.
I'm just saying it's a landlocked country. I mean, again, but whatever. Maybe again,
water in Wakanda.
I'm not saying that, but like access to the ocean, they clearly in the middle of the Atlantic, and Wakanda's in the middle of Central Africa.
They got there.
I feel you, but that's too
it
much.
Even happened in the comics. Wakanda's landlocked in the comics, and Namor still flooded it.
I know they did it because it was in the comics, but just a little logic, please. A little logic, just a little.
It's
comics. We're talking about a movie about a dude that lives underwater with wings on his feet. Let's let water is a real thing. Let's keep that.
With pointy ears, with water grenades.
Okay, but still, that's all I'm saying. But I don't find his motivations to be that great. It just seemed like it was a MacGuffin to get to the point and just set up things to come in the future. Like in the future, we'll see the resolution of how this plot came out with Wakanda actually needing to go to Namor for help and be their only ally. I felt like there were better ways to do that. They had common ground. They both were fucked over by colonizers to some degree with, the rape of Africa and what Namor saw when he was a kid. You can find common ground there and like, hey, let's ally together against them for that versus let me attack you to prove a point that, hey, we are powerful even though we're not as advanced technologically as you are.
They were working towards that until the interference happened.
I get it. Miscommunication can fuck up some shit. I get it. But still, like bigger diplomatic policies, maybe. I don't know.
I thought it worked. Personally, I thought it worked. I was a little worried going into it. I'm like, why would they be fighting? But to be honest with you, after watching the movie, the motivations worked for me. I mean, yeah, there were holes in it. But I mean, come on, man. It's a movie, and I get it. It worked for me. It makes sense.
Like, I feel like from a motivation standpoint and on a base level execution, there's not a lot of things, not a lot of missteps in the writing of this story. I agree.
Solid.
Yeah, it's solid from beginning, middle, and end. And the fact that like Namor is kind of operating how Wakanda did before they stepped out. Like,
I get that. I see the parallels there.
It's the fear of the outside world. It's the fear of what somebody else would do. And it's the reality of what Wakanda is facing post T'Challa's death. Like, you see what the French did. You see what the CIA is trying to do. They're not letting it go over something that they had no rights to in the first place, over something that's something that never even belonged to them in the first place. They're trying to trample all over it, trying to own it, trying to make it theirs, and they have no rights to.
Yeah, I get it. It's the parallel of what actually happened during our actual timeline. I get all that.
Right. So it makes sense why T'Challa Khan would take those steps to prevent that and be ready to wage war over what's theirs.
Okay. I'll leave it at that. Okay. I agree.
Bang.
Now, something else I will applaud this writing for in terms of the story is how they are able to take T'Challa's death and like not only working into the story in terms of like grief, but in terms of the ramifications of that and how those beats are going to be for years to come. Like we're seeing how T'Challa's death, how it's emboldened other nations to try and strike at Wakanda, to try to make moves at Wakanda, and how Wakanda doesn't have any allies anymore, how they're going to have to eventually go back to T'Challa Khan, like eventually, or stand and fall by themselves. It could fall into the movie plot of the Thunderbolts when it comes out in a couple of years, with Val's team going into Wakanda, possibly. It's just all of that, and especially with terms of like Shuri being the new Black Panther now, and M'Baku being king, and just all those things taken. But I think that was very well done, how they kind of incorporated T'Challa's death into more than just the grief of a lost one.
Yeah, I agree. They did that was done very well. Like I said, it was not a bad movie. That was done very well. I was reading that I didn't read the script, but I was reading some sort of article, and they were saying that Ryan Coogler's theme of the movie was going to be grief anyway. So I'm assuming that maybe they took what they had and just kind of molded it a little bit. But regardless, yeah, they did do a good job with it, incorporating his death into the movie.
Did anyone else outside of me notice that no other Avenger or MCU character showed up to T'Challa's
They sure
funeral?
didn't. Yep.
No.
Yeah. It was just kind of odd, you know?
You have to
I think it's odd. At least Bucky, like out of everybody, at least Bucky should have showed up.
Well,
somebody.
Also, T'Chaka never got a funeral in the first place, so.
I mean, well, we don't know that. I mean,
that's true. Yeah, we don't really.
Yeah, we do know that. T'Challa showed up home in the first movie and was immediately crowned king.
I'm sure they had one. We just didn't need to see it.
Right. That's what I feel like. It's just it wasn't necessary to the plot.
He literally stepped off the plane, stepped to his mom, and said, "How do you feel?" Proud. I wish me and your father would talk about this day, and that was it.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I didn't really care about no T'Chaka dying. That was cool.
I mean, in the aftermath of him being a hypocrite.
Yeah, you know, it was cool. Yeah, we don't need to see no funeral for him. That was cool. Get to the meat. We wanted to see T'Challa. Get his daddy.
How did you all feel about Letitia Wright being the sliding into the role of the main character?
Nope. It's a no for me, dog.
It's a no for you, dog.
Nope.
I liked it. It was empowering. I love seeing her and Riri and old girl like act together and work off each other. I like seeing, Black women put in a predominant role and portrayed positively and intelligently. And they wasn't taking any shit. I liked it. I do have something to say about her taking the role of Black Panther. She 100% earned it. She, figured out how to get the power set back. She was trying to save her brother. She's trying to save her country. But I don't like her as Black Panther. I feel like she needs to be her own character and not Black Panther. Not because I'm a sexist or anything and don't think she's good at that. I just think she's more of a tech person. Let her be a tech person. Black Panther is a physical person. She's quicker and more agile, but when did you learn all that in between, working on science and stuff and being the tech person in Wakanda? I wasn't feeling it. That's all. And then at the end of the movie, they kind of took the mantle away from her by introducing son of T'Challa. So what's the point?
Really.
She's not going to be there.
That was just fan service to make us feel better.
So she was Black Panther for a hot second in the comics.
So yeah, Letitia Wright. What's your problem with Letitia Wright in the movie? Why didn't y'all like her performance?
I'm gonna let Marcel go first.
Oh damn. I want to preface whatever I say with just getting it out the way. Letitia Wright, I actually really like her. I enjoy her presence on screen. I enjoy her as an actress. And I believe she has the talent to carry a movie. I just for this role, it just doesn't work for me, unfortunately.
Mark making that face is throwing me.
It just doesn't work for me,
Why? What was it about it that didn't work for you? Be a little more specific.
I don't know. She's just so. I mean, it's not even necessarily that I know what y'all are trying to get out of me, but she's so small. I'm sorry. I just don't see her fighting. Even when in the movie when she was angry, I was just like, "Are you you'll be fine?"
So,
and
you imagine head, little big brother head on a little brother forehead, just
that's how I felt the time. She can't weigh more than 80 pounds. How are you come on? I'm just not buying it because bruh, no. It's not working for me, man. And I mean, again, this movie, I'm coming from a subjective point of view. I have a history with these characters. I mean, I like certain things and I know certain things going into the movie, So some things aren't believable or just don't come off as well to me. But I think for the average viewer, though, they're not gonna find the same quirks and problems that I would have, or probably any of the three of us would have. So I think if you're an average movie viewer, you probably won't agree with some of the things we have to say, any of it during this whole interview. But just because, like, just Namor, like, he's so powerful. Like, it's no way. Like, come on, it's no way. Like, this motherfucker go toe to toe with the Hulk. Like, it's no way, man. Like that's way. I don't know. It just didn't work for me.
Okay, so is it just her as Black Panther, or was it the whole thing? Because she was only Black Panther for like 5 minutes throughout the movie.
It was a combination of her. It was kind of just the movie like sped it up, and I get it. Again, I meant everything I said earlier. The movie still was not a bad movie. I'm just speaking for me personally at this point. It just didn't work for me. Again, she's just so small, and she didn't really earn it. I don't feel like you manufactured a fake herb. Like
I feel like she earned it because it didn't exist, and she had to figure it out.
That's fancy. And see that part, you know what? I did say that, but you know what? That part of her makes sense because she's like techie, and that makes sense. But the knowing how to fight to go toe to toe with Namor, like when have you trained? We ain't seen you pick up a weapon the entire 2 movies till now. It's like, I mean, the little blaster
she has
thing.
fought. She's fought Killmonger. She was there against Thanos and stuff. But
she get beat up by Killmonger, or did she fight Killmonger? Which one was
blasted some sound waves at him that one
time. She did this, and he destroyed that.
I will say this before I go on my rant. I don't feel like she really earned the Black Panther role objectively.
Come on, be for real.
To be Black Panther, not only do you have to be trained to be leader of a nation, but you also have to be in tune with your spiritual side, and that's something that she wasn't, and that's something that she never really showed that she ever grew to be in tune.
Okay, I'll give you that. I definitely give you that.
Like through the
because even Killmonger was in tune with his spiritual side, and that was present in the movie.
Well, he was a Hotep, so there's that. But she just kind of happened to fall in her lap. Like she assumed it because her brother was, and it was like her responsibility to via the plot. It's not like I just didn't feel like she earned it.
I do feel like she earned it. Like even in the first Black Panther movie, you can see the seeds they were sowing for her to eventually take the mantle of Black Panther.
Was it seeds?
Oh, no, what seeds?
Was it seeds?
I mean, just like how in tune and involved she has been in helping T'Challa be Black Panther and being her guy in the chair, being Black Panther's guy in the chair per se, and helping him with the technology and the advancements of his own suit.
But that doesn't
being a sidekick is a seed.
I mean, it's a little seed. It's a little small seed, but still.
Side character being a side character.
Even in the other,
that's what side characters do.
She was like, "Hey, one day I'm going to be Black Panther," and T'Challa was like, "No, whatever. You just need to do this."
He did not.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Did we see the same movie? I'm confused. Like what?
I'm gonna say this. I've been holding this back for a long time. All right, so Letitia Wright, for what she had to do, for what she was being asked of for this role, she did about as good a job as she could have asked. Like, when she signed up for this role, she didn't sign up for this. This happened, this was unforeseen, and they just had to just roll with it. So by that metric, Letitia Wright did a fantastic job. And Shuri did feel like the emotional center of the film. She felt like the audience surrogate when it came to feelings and talking about the loss of T'Challa and how she did it and how she handled it, or rather didn't handle it. And all those things just kind of just flow through her. So by that metric, she did a very good job. However, it does not feel like Letitia Wright can carry being Black Panther going forward. Like for as admirable job as she did, like she doesn't have like that gravitas, that quality that Angela Bassett had.
Oh,
the whole film. Like Angela Bassett in this film.
Let's talk about her. Let's talk about that performance.
Angela Bassett was acting like she wasn't gonna act no more. Like this is gonna be the last acting job she was ever gonna do for the rest of her days. She was gonna earn another penny. Like her name was gonna be erased from the history books, and she did not knock this out of the park. Angela Bassett was that chick in this movie, and she did not miss. She did not leave a crumb. She cleaned the plate and the pantries, and she emptied all the containers out. Ain't no juice left. She did all that.
She did, man. She did.
Angela
She did a great job.
Nailed it. And that is something that, oh man, that nobody else had in this film that could have been asked to do so. And that's why I don't feel like Letitia Wright did that, because I'm looking at the Chadwick Boseman and all of his appearances, T'Challa, like he had that quality, he had that it, like, oh, you're that guy.
You know, well, yeah. He did.
And nobody else in that cast, for as good as an actor or actress as they are, in the entire film, has that. My problem with the first Black Panther film was I kind of felt like T'Challa didn't really make too many decisions on his own, but everything else came from the side characters. But at the same time, they kind of fed into each other. They kind of gave to him and he kind of gave it back to him. So it worked in that way, despite my gripe with that. But in this film, it seems like a lot of side characters I'm not doing the most, shout out to Peyton, but just doing their own thing and kind of just working off each other. And it works in that way. But this film needed to elevate Shuri into that star. They needed her to elevate into that main role. And she was the main character, but she didn't feel like the main character.
I was going to say, she didn't even feel like the main character to me till the end of the movie. When she was trying to make the artificial herb is when I found, I was like, oh, this is our main character. Okay, cool.
And even with that, it just kind of just happened.
Exactly.
She showed up as Black Panther with the suit, and everybody's like, oh, okay.
I'm not gonna lie. That's when I was taken out of the movie. I was not taken out, but that's when I really, when a good movie, watching a good movie, and you get sucked into the world, and you're like, you forget that there are people around you in the theater, and you just in it. And at that scene, at that part, I finally realized I was watching a movie again, because this is not believable. It's not believable. You fall into the center, you're surrounded by these warriors, and they supposed to follow you as the new Black Panther. No.
And I can tell you the exact moment, that handshake.
Oh, yeah.
That was the moment I was like, oh, okay, we're back. we're back to square one with this. Yeah. And to like Marcel's point, her fighting Namor is like, how?
How? I get it. The little heat thing in the desert. And don't get me wrong, to an extent, that's how she would defeat Namor. Like, because she's not, and I get it, she's not as great a fighter as T'Challa, right? So she would use her brain a little bit more, right? We come up with this
I like plan. That about how she defeated Namor. She used her brain and her intelligence to figure out his weaknesses and things like that.
No, let's be honest. That plan worked for 2.5 seconds.
It was a stupid plan, but
it was a stupid plan.
It was a short-sighted plan. Like you want to get him into like a little air fryer. That's cool. I'm with that.
That's basically what that was.
But it worked. But like even to what Marcel is saying, like Black Panther as a character as Shuri or as T'Challa would have an issue going up against Namor because he goes up against gods. Black Panther is not a god, regardless if male or female. So that's unbelievable. I do agree with Marcel there. But they tried to make it work. They really tried to make it work. And it's still at the end of the thing, at the end of the day, that boils to two powerful characters just fighting it out and punching each other instead of figuring out other ways to climactically end the third act of their film.
What you thought? You didn't want to fight anything? You knew they was going to fight. Come on, man.
I knew they was going to fight.
You want them to talk?
I don't know. I assumed it was going to be something else because you know how I feel about same versus same. This isn't technically same versus same, but
it's not at all. That's what made this
not. But like you said, Namor should have mopped the floor with her, regardless of how weak he is. Like he stabbed her with a vibranium spear, and she still lived and defeated him and made him yield. That made no sense to me.
Namor is the most arrogant, prick that Marvel has that isn't outwardly a bad guy. Like, he is the most arrogant, most just irritating and grating person to deal with in Marvel. And part of the reason why he is because he knows he can get away with it. And
okay, so since we're talking about Namor now, or Namor, how do y'all feel of him as a villain or an anti-villain? In this, he's definitely the villain, even though he's probably just an anti-hero or whatever.
Yeah, he's not a villain.
He's not a villain. I think that's one of the things I liked about the movie. Because again, like we said earlier, it actually was written well. I like the characters' motivations. I know you said you didn't like them, but personally, I like the characters' motivations. I thought it was great how they made two king and a queen. They just literally had to defend their people. They were not necessarily even like bad or evil. I think, and that's something, you know, to the writers' credit, Ryan Coogler, and it was written also Joe Robert Cole. Like even in the first movie, like creating good villains that aren't just evil for the sake of being evil. I know people love Thanos, but his plan made no effing sense at all. Like anyway, but like Killmonger was a great villain to me, the greatest Marvel villain ever, because he had a great motivation. You know, like you could relate to why he was doing what he was doing.
Yeah,
and I felt like it was a repeated theme in this one. Namor, you could, or at least I could understand his motivations for doing what he did. You know, he's still a king to his people. He has to do what he has to do to protect them, you know, just as Shuri had to do to protect her people. And I thought that's what makes great villains. So to speak on it, I loved his character and his motivations and what he did. I like him.
I don't think of him as a villain. Like, try as I might, I cannot think of him as a villain. He's a protector of his own people, and he was put in a position where he had to act. And that made him the opposition, sure. But he is not a villain.
He's not a villain.
Right. I feel like time will be, like, I think people love him. Like, the performance of Namor, the actor, his name escapes me at the moment. But I feel like time would be better to him in terms of like his performance with this, because I feel like with all the things this movie had to do, the big chunk of it is Chadwick Boseman's death, T'Challa's passing, and how to deal with it. So Namor and how his actions and how he moved kind of falls by the wayside a little bit in terms of like big picture. But I feel like as time moves on, it'll be reflected better. But Namor, I think is the most likable version of Namor that there's ever existed.
The most likable,
and which is good and bad. Good because it makes him more likable and it makes him his own character. Bad in the sense that it is a departure from the comics and it takes away the one thing that makes Namor Namor.
Yeah,
is that arrogant, moody, uppity assholeness that he has in spades. This guy
more time to develop him, though. I think.
Yeah, there's more time to develop him.
There's more time to develop him, but that's not who he is. Like, he gave us his backstory. He basically operated his entire backstory with a careful seriousness that does come with maybe a bit of arrogance and maybe a bit of moodiness that Namor is known for, but not with the same pompous asshole behind it. Like, he was a dick in this movie for obvious reason. Like, he just go come up on the shore and be like, hey, I want to go to war. Is you with me or not? Bring me the scientists or not? Like, that was his whole deal. Like, what was Ramona to do on that front? Like, what's anybody supposed to do? Somebody come out of the sea and just be like, hey,
right,
what up? I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm trying to go to war with them. Is you with me or not? And I don't know, man. Like, he was just so dead set on having to go to war. And it's like, and even though he did do some dickish things, it's not the same as it was as he is in the comics. And it's totally relatable. And it's totally understandable. And he was put in a very tough position. And I like that even by the end of it, even though he yielded, he's not off of the agenda. Like, the agenda is still the same.
Yeah.
And this is something that's going to continue, and it's something that's going to evolve as the Phase 5 starts and moves forward. Fantastic performance, fantastic character.
Yeah.
I like again, the actor's name escapes me like you, but I like his performance. I like what he did in the movie. I'm not saying he's wrong in what he did and his motivations. I'm just not accepting those motivations, to justify the actions and things that he did. But I understand it. You want to protect your people, JB. You're right. Like, the surface world now has the technology to find them, and he just wants to protect his people. Same Wakanda did the same thing for thousands of years. That's all he ever wanted. But he's justified as a villain because of that, while other people have done it and they're heroes and whatnot. But I like he had a line that he said, like, something about the colonizers or white people. I was like, yeah, I kind of get that. I get that. That's dope. Like, I don't want to say dope, not condoning any like violence against races or anything, but like, I get it. There are a lot of subtle undertones in this movie outside of dealing with grief and loss and moving on and passing the mantle. There's a lot of parallels with our actual timeline and like the messages and story they're trying to say. Like, the African slave trade was a real thing that happened to us. It affected not only Africans, but like, look at what happened to the Mesoamericans when the Spanish colonized them, and the French, and how their resources were taken away and they were put into slavery, and they lost their people groups and things like that. So there's a lot of common ground there. So I agree with a lot of the things and the messages they're trying to do. I'm just not satisfied with how they played them all out within the story. But Namor's pretty good. I don't see him as a villain, but as an antagonist, because he has to be the antagonist in this movie. He's good, but I don't see him as a villain, like an MCU villain. Killmonger is definitely a villain. He had a great motivation. Killmonger's fucking right. Technically, Namor is right, but who's to say? Go ahead.
Just a quick sidebar, though. I feel like what separates this movie from the rest of Phase 4 as a whole is the representation and the commitment to the themes that it was trying to tell. And that's something that me and you will cover separately and together in another video, Mark. But I feel like the commitment to the themes and the commitment to telling a cohesive story and the multiple angles in which this is approached, along with the commitment to the representation, not just of Black culture, but Mesoamerican culture, and just how the world has done and treated us at large.
Well, to that, I want to add, not only Black Panther has done this, but we've kind of seen this as another trend throughout the entirety of Phase 4, where they've been more inclusive to other communities and other races and other people. They've introduced a lot of new female characters that are taking the spotlight of a lot of mainstream male characters. They incorporate a lot of new religions and new cultures. Like, we got Ms. Marvel. Ms. Marvel brought in the Pakistani community and well represented there. In Black Panther Wakanda Forever, we have the Mesoamericans and the Mayan culture, which is really dope. Shang-Chi, we had the Asian culture being more prominent, so they're being more inclusive. But I have a negative twist to that we'll get to later. And you're right, we'll have separate videos about it. But as far as with Black Panther, I 100%, it was about, before you said it, I was about to say, they culturally gave both the Black community and the Mexican community their proper up and comings and their dues, and a lot of justifiable things. Like, yeah, there's still some plot holes and hand waving over some things, but it was like, culturally it was there. I was feeling it 100%.
Changing Namor, like, and it's changing from a white guy. If Namor was a white guy, this movie would have been so weird. So weird if he was a white guy. Can you imagine a white guy floating about the ocean talking about some hay? Bitch. Anyways, but
yeah, I wouldn't know how to take that.
Like, the combination, what I was getting at was the combination of themes, the writing, and the representation that we all got is just obvious. This makes this one of the most solid efforts of this entire phase, which I feel on the overall was very lackluster, and just kind of adds to what Marcel said earlier. This is a pretty solid movie. Like, from it's a solid movie.
I want to go back to one thing, because I meant to say this when we brought up this character, but Angela Bassett as Queen Rwanda, her performance, like you said, Ramonda, Queen Ramonda, got it. She acted like there was no more acting to give in the world. If she does not get an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actress, or even wins it at this point,
she ain't gonna get no Oscar for no Marvel movie. Yeah,
you're not finna get nothing for no Marvel movie. You know,
you don't get nothing for Marvel movies, but she did great though.
She was incredible. First of all, Marvel movies have won the technical awards, and I think the highest that they've gotten was like something in directing, and with Black Panther for that. But I think like
they got soundtrack, cinematography, and costume.
Right. Yeah, costume, and hair design and stuff like that. Like I said, the technical awards, but like superhero movies have been breaking ground and being more increasingly respected throughout the community, especially MCU movies.
Because they dominate the market. It's hard for anything else to thrive these days.
But that's what I'm getting at. Like, not a lot of good movies came out this year, so like this kind of stands out, like with her performance. So it kind of is in the running. The next best thing I can think of is Viola Davis in The Woman King.
Viola Davis was not a supporting character though.
No, she was the lead.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, but I'm just talking about you get what I'm saying. I'm going off the head, but still, I feel like her performance was well noted in this.
Absolutely, and there's a reason why they used her so much in the trailer. Like, dang, that was the most emotional, resonant things that they could have charged. Like when she said, like I was about to be like in the throne room when she discharged McCoy. I was like, chill on my girl. And then when she laid out what happened, I was like, oh,
yeah.
That I lost everything speech. That was some. I felt that. I definitely felt that. I am the
queen of the most powerful nation of the world. I have lost my entire family. What more do I have to give? Oh, you're right. I stood by you when you stayed by Killmonger.
Yeah. She had it. Now, did y'all feel like she had to die to advance the plot to get Shuri to finally become Black Panther? Because I don't think they had to necessarily kill her off.
I didn't like that they killed her. And that's why I said at the beginning of all this, this episode, when I said like it felt like it was heavy-handed at times, and it was too on the nose.
Right.
Like,
it was.
Like, you didn't have to kill her. I mean, you could have done away with. You could have put her in a coma. You could have put her in stasis. All the things you could have done with T'Challa at the beginning of the film. You did. You could have done with her. And
I don't know. I don't think they had to do that. Like, I mean, especially since we were already dealing with so much. You know what I mean? Like, we were already dealing with so much death and grief in this movie. I don't think we needed to add on top of that. You know, like, I think it kind of was a little much. However, I do believe maybe it was, some decisions made because maybe her contract or something was up and maybe she just was tired of doing it or something, and wanted to get out because it just felt kind of unnecessary, like we didn't need that.
Yeah, I agree. We literally started the movie with a funeral and a little halfway through we get another one.
Right. Yeah.
It was a bit much.
The Queen are gone in one movie. It was a little much,
Yeah.
A little after a year after her son died.
Right.
And then think about like this, her husband died in Civil War. That wasn't that long ago too. So like that
was like a decade ago in their time.
I mean, yeah, in their time, but still, that country hasn't had a lot of stability except with T'Challa being Black Panther and King there, and he was off doing Avengers stuff most of the time. So it was a lot of stuff going on. So like,
T'Challa had been Black Panther. He was Black Panther 10 years before Tony Stark announced to the world he was Iron Man.
Right. I never thought about that, but I think you're right. Yeah. He was already Black Panther.
He had been that guy. Like T'Chaka was just still king.
Never thought of it like that. Interesting. But there's some other characters we need to bring up, and there's one character I want to bring up in particular who I feel like was 100% unnecessary in the movie, and I felt like even though this character is getting their own Disney Plus series, they should just be introduced there. What are y'all thoughts on Riri Williams?
Marcel, you want to go first on here?
Oh yeah, I mean I can. I liked her character. I like the character of Riri Williams. She was a little extra during the college dorm scene, but I liked her character. Again, this is a character I don't have much backstory on. Like I haven't read the comics. I don't know her origin or anything. I mean, I know her origin. I watched some YouTube videos when I heard she was getting put in the movie, but I don't have like I didn't grow up knowing this character, playing video games and all that with her in it.
Yeah,
So
She's only like 10 years old. She's not even 10 years old.
yeah, she's not really even an old character,
yeah,
right? She's a more recently developed character, but I liked her. I thought she was good. I think she kind of her. I think it was kind of she was a good character, but I think the movie kind of revolved a little too much around her. It was a
yeah,
heavy introduction for her.
yeah.
The introduction for her was a little too heavy for me.
Well, I'm glad that she actually had a character as opposed to America
I was
Chavez.
finna make that. I was finna go
Yeah,
there
I
next.
agree.
Yeah, because that was I didn't that. In contrast to to Doctor Strange, like what the hell was? What are we doing? Like you wasted. You're basically wasting the viewer's time with this. Like not the movie being that bad, but I'm like the direction of the story. Like what are we doing? At least this movie did have, like you say, they gave her a character and we could follow along, and and don't get me wrong. By the end of the movie, I think her relevance was they just fighting to be fighting at this point. It ain't even about her no more. So that's why I'm like her introduction was very heavy. Like it was very like front loaded, but then by the time, because I mean he had her. Remember they more captured Shuri and Riri. He had her. You wanted to kill her so bad, but you had her right here in your palace. You could have killed her, but he didn't. I don't know. Whatever. But and anyway, I mean, but it was cool seeing her, man. I'm interested in seeing what they do with her in the future.
I am
Go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead.
I am a Riri Williams stan. Okay, like from the time she was introduced, I was excited when they said she was going to be in the movie. I was kind of curious to see how they were going to do it and how they were going to integrate her into the plot. Didn't think she was going to be that central to the plot.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, by the way, Namor's trying to kill you.
From the jump, it was about her.
From the jump, and as happy as I was to see her in the movie, I did kind of feel like her character was a little bit redundant, especially compared to Shuri, who's also smart, and that's like both their things in the MCU.
You know what?
Right.
Yep.
So it's like it doesn't really make her unique, aside from the fact that she's American and her personality is different. By the end of the movie, she was just kind of just there.
Yeah,
it
I
felt
agree.
like it just kind of felt like she was there, like even with the suit, like she's not even taking the suit with her at the end. By the end of it all,
right?
So,
right.
Which I did not like the design of the vibranium Wakanda suit at all. It looked really weird to me.
It looked kind of bulky.
Yeah,
it looked kind of bulky, and her suit's like more streamlined. But in the comics, it's more streamlined. But
right.
Yeah, she just kind of just there by the end of it, and I don't know, just kind of felt like she just was just another character by the end. And that kind of seemed like that was the case by the end of the movie anyway. Like it kind of just like all roads kind of went to Shuri at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So like all those side plots, all those side characters, and just kind of just led to her, and everybody just kind of just folded in place. And yeah, but we'll get her back. She's gonna be in her own movie, so that's cool.
She is, yeah.
I thought she was getting a Disney Plus series.
Nah, they switched to a movie.
Okay. But like Marcel, I'm not that familiar with Riri Williams. Like she came in like right after I started like not being interested in comics, along with Miss Marvel. But like I'm familiar enough with her, and she's a Tony Stark character. She's a Tony Stark clone, just more likable without all his flaws. So I was interested in seeing how they would incorporate her into the MCU. And like you said, she's a crucial part of this movie. But even if you take her out of this movie, nothing really changes, because like she wasn't needed to begin with. She was just a MacGuffin for the sake of just being there, introducing her there with another tech character that can kind of mentor her since Tony Stark isn't there. I kind of feel like, personally, I wish I got a story of Riri Williams where she had to figure this stuff out on her own versus meeting Shuri from Wakanda and getting that type of knowledge and experience and things like that. But again, we'll see where they go with this. Like, I have my own opinion about what they're setting up with the Young Justice and things like that, but we'll get into that
Young Avengers.
next week in my Phase 4 review.
Phase 4 review.
Yeah, Phase 4 review. I got a lot to say about Phase 4. But getting back to Black Panther, where there's some other notable roles or characters that stuck out to y'all. Like me personally, like I wish M'Baku had a little bit more to do, especially with how the ending of the movie happened.
I kind of felt like he was reduced to a joke at times, like too much of a punchline.
Oh, definitely. Definitely he was reduced to a joke. And don't get me wrong, he had those comedic roles in the first movie, but he was still taken more seriously, had a more integral role in the first Black Panther movie. In this one, he was just there to give Shuri that one line of motivation from T'Challa and to be there to give the comic relief line at the end of the movie.
Like he did, besides being like nearly one-hit quitted and about the movie. I like Winston Duke, but if anybody should have got up out of here, it should have been him at that moment.
Right.
that should have been it. Like no more man ape, but that's a racist term. All right, but
so many of them.
Yeah, so many of them. But I just kind of feel with besides him, he had that one moment of insight because when he first heard about M'Baku, when he first heard about Namor, he was like, "Yeah, let's go kill him. Yeah, let's just go and be done with it." By the end of it, by the time he got the research done, he was like, "Oh yeah, we don't need to kill him. Yeah, we can't kill him." And while Shuri was like all about that, yeah, I want him gone. I want my revenge. He's like, I don't know about that one, champ.
Yeah.
Like, you know what his name means? Do you know what he means to his people?
Right.
Like, I'm about that fighting life. I've been about that fight. I don't mind dying on the battlefield. But if we kill him, we ain't never gonna be done fighting. And they gonna kill us. And it's gonna get everybody and their mama involved. And the world's gonna be plunged into chaos forever. Because they're not gonna stop. Because we're gonna turn that man to a martyr.
Yeah,
that was a good moment for his character that I really enjoyed, and I think him becoming king at the end really brought his character full circle from the first one to now.
I wouldn't say full circle. There's still one other thing I would like to see him kind of do that they kind of should pay off, but again, we'll get into that next week. But one thing I do want to say, as far as about characters, I do feel overall. And I said this about Black Panther 1. I felt like T'Challa in his own movie, he had the weakest performance, that everybody else's supporting cast around him gave out a better performance. And I kind of was reminded that again, even though this movie, he wasn't in this movie, he didn't act in it, you're constantly reminded of his presence in this movie and what he meant to everybody, and losing him, like everybody who was in this movie, all the cast actors and actresses, the directors, the writers, they knew him personally. So everybody brought that A game and that passion. And again, like he just was kind of a little outshined in a movie about him being honored, I feel like. But that's
I thought that was good though. I thought that was good.
I thought that was necessary.
Right.
Especially for the movie.
And this time it was necessary, but still it kind of goes to kind of help prove my point. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm just grasping at straws and stuff and trying to connect things that ain't really there.
Can we talk about Lupita for a second? Nakia.
Oh my goodness.
First of all, that woman is so fine. Oh my God. Like,
you think it's real?
So man, God is real, man.
I don't know, man. Did you see Us?
Man.
It wasn't there in Us, bro. Wasn't even no remnants of it in Us. I'm not gonna. She's still a beautiful woman. Like nothing changes. However, that wasn't there.
Something else. Like God, like you really did that when you made her. Wow. Anyways,
did he though, or did somebody in at a lab, surgical room do it? I don't know. I'm just saying it came out of nowhere.
Look, man. I know where the heart-shaped herb was in that movie.
You know what?
But moving on, I had a point to say with that, but man, she is.
Yeah, what was the point?
She is. So
I wish she would have had a bigger role in the movie. I liked her on the sideline. I mean, she's nice on kind of like the sideline, but If you're
But
gonna
man,
put her in the movie, put her in it.
did you like? Were you like me and forget she was there for a while?
I did.
Yeah.
She popped up out of nowhere,
She just really just popped up out of nowhere, and it's just like, oh, you're here, and then she's active, and it's like, oh,
Then
okay,
she
so I
was
guess
gone
you're involved
again.
now. You missed the whole
Yeah.
funeral. You were regulated to missing the funeral and a phone call, and an hour and some change later, here you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah, they did that to her in the first movie too. She was just kind of in the background. But I like. I mean, she's
She wasn't really there in the back. Well, she was in the background ish. She was active.
She wasn't even there
in the first movie. She was in the opening. The opening scene was about picking her up.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was that in the end fight, and she threw a few rings at some people, but that's it though, right? What? And they had a little talk on the beach. No, it was on the rock or something.
When T'Challa got T'Challa went to her twice for counsel for one, and then when T'Challa got thrown off the edge of the waterfall, like she guarded Shuri and Ramonda the whole time, and she fought on the front lines. Yeah, she fought on the front lines in the final battle, so she was pretty active in that first movie.
She was in it. She was in it. You're right.
In the Dora Milaje outfit, which is a comic book illusion. Yeah.
I wish they would have put more of her in the movie, like Winston, M'Baku, Winston Duke in her. Like I wish those two were in the movie more.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think Okoye had the best story arc of all the side characters.
I think so too. She did actually, yeah.
Like I feel like as her general, the Dora Milaje, as far as like the MCUs go, she's pretty much gone as far as she can go with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So true. Her and Ayo and Anika being both lovers and the Midnight Angels is like a comic book thing, and I think that's cool. But given the context of everything, I think this works out better. For her.
Okay.
What do you
I don't know what they
think?
plan to do with her.
Huh?
Sorry.
What you say, Marcel?
I said, I don't know what they plan on doing with her next. Like you said, what more could she do? So I don't, is she just done or?
No, you can do a whole lot of stuff. You could give her own series, a Midnight Angel series. You could do cameo appearances. Like she's not Dora anymore, so her jurisdiction is wherever she pleases.
But without that, does she still have the technology and the ability, the resources to do these things? I mean,
yeah, she's still affiliated with the country, especially after all that. Right. We just almost died again.
Yeah. And the person that demoted her is dead, so I guess she probably could come back. Yeah. All right. True. I guess there's some things you can do.
I'm sure we're going to see her again in the Dora Milaje Disney Plus series.
Like, what are you gonna do? Like, not have her around? Like, hey, Okoye general that's fought on the front lines fought on the front lines 2 times when you didn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. I was just curious what happens next. That's all.
Oh yeah, but yeah, she's gonna be around. Absolutely.
I hope so.
I think she's the character that has kind of broken out from the original Black Panther cast, like the one that became more popular than anybody thought they would initially.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
like she got an Avengers. She's got an Endgame poster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She was in Endgame. I was like, oh crap, the people like this character.
Yeah, like she was on a poster.
Yeah, that's cool. Actually, I mean, that's a good thing. I'm not mad at that at all. I like her too.
I like her. That girl, she's great.
She's amazing.
She's so great. But, oh, man, is there anybody else? I thought the final fight was a little flat.
Wait, we're forgetting somebody.
Who else? Who are we forgetting?
Michael B. Jordan cameo.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, you're right. I was going to say
that was other than Ramonda dying, that was like the only genuine surprise of the film.
Yeah, and I was hoping for more of a surprise. I was hoping for more surprises, but yeah, that was like the only other one actually.
Yeah.
That hit anyway. That actually hit. Yeah, I like that. I just don't like the fact that he's officially dead now. I guess if he in the
he dead.
Astral plane. I mean, he didn't have to be dead.
He killed himself.
I mean, he got stabbed. Sure, he got stabbed. She got up and walked away.
That's true. She did get stabbed and get up and walk away.
No, he got like a spear in like her abdomen that went clean through. He had something that was embedded in his chest.
Yeah, well, Wakandan technology and whatnot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
and he opted for it.
He probably changed his mind after the fact, and T'Challa's a nice guy. He probably, gave him a little bead thing and grew him a new heart. He should have been Black Panther in this movie.
I agree. I do agree. He should have been Black Panther in this.
Nah, damn that. Let's talk about it. Why do people want him to be Black Panther?
He was like fucking
we
right.
don't like Shuri.
He's alive. He's right there. And he's going to be in the MCU in the future again. Just make the motherfucker Black Panther.
Why? You're talking about the dude that was killing his underlings, killed his girlfriend, used his ally to upset what he wanted. He was a dude that was ruled by anger, hatred, fear. And yeah, he had a point, but he was still ruled by those things. Nothing about him was noble. Nothing about him was worthy. Nothing about him was a leader. His arc could have been, hey, I'm this guy and this is how I am, and now I'm trying to be noble. We lost all this stuff and all this shit happened. Let me be a more noble, honorable.
My boy could have had a change of heart after coming back from death.
So the guy that literally upset the balance, who's in a roundabout way responsible for all of this, you want that guy.
Yeah, I wanted him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look how they did with Loki. Loki was a fucking villain in the Avengers, and now he's like one of the mainstream favorite fan characters.
Yeah, but Loki was never like wholly good. Never wholly good.
Yeah, but it's not like Killmonger is 100% evil. Like we said,
we changed characters before.
He was a monster.
People, we can't call him a villain for that. And technically, Killmonger is doing the same thing.
That man was a monster.
They could have made him the greatest anti-hero ever.
Right.
He would have been the greatest to ever grace the screen. But they threw it away for a cameo.
Y'all tripping.
Marvel took an L on that one.
Y'all tripping.
Y'all threw away Killmonger for this?
Y'all want the guy that choked out the old lady and had
her. I want him. Y'all, he gonna get things done.
Yeah, he said it.
That was prepared to wage war with the whole world over his hurt feelings.
Hey, Queen Ramonda wouldn't have died on Killmonger's watch.
You sure about that?
I'm sure.
You sure about that? You sure that he wouldn't have rooted her out and killed her out? But die, Auntie.
Did it himself, he wouldn't have done that? Namor wouldn't have killed her.
You sure about that?
I'm sure.
Because he got killed by a shovel. by a guy he failed to kill the first time.
My boy would have taken care of things, man.
I will say this: if Michael B. Jordan was Black Panther in this movie, him and Namor would have teamed up and drowned the white people.
Absolutely, 1,000%.
They would. He would have. Yeah.
I think the sort of contention between them would be how Namor wants to war against the surface indiscriminately, and how Killmonger would only be okay with the white people being wiped out.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. They would end up fighting at some point.
Exactly. That would have been a point. But
Killmonger's smart. He'd have did the air fryer thing too, though, you know? He done figured something out.
It's a thing. The air fryer thing is a thing. I love that this started this. We need to get this episode out ASAP so we can tell the next.
Definitely the air fryer thing. Oh my God. The air fryer plot. That's fucked up. Man.
Yes. Set to broil.
But it was funny because they was in there monologuing with each other and then just like air fryer turned on.
Why did she stand there? Why did she stand there and let him just do that? I'm trying to do something while he's getting deep fried.
That entire third act of that movie maybe I missed it. Maybe like I said, when Shuri showed up,
I'm right there with you. I wasn't literally, but I'm reading with you again.
When Shuri showed up, I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I did start to like zone out of the movie. Like, what the fuck am I watching now? When is this going to end? But I'm missing. Why were they fighting on a boat? Why was that on a boat? Huh?
That your Bombay was weak as hell.
It was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's when I was done. It was going downhill when she did her little theatrical superhero flip down to the ground. But when she did that, I was like,
I wish she hadn't did that because for me, that was the confirmation that she can't carry.
Yep. That was confirmation. It's just so weak.
Yeah, Bombay. Come on.
Look, I'm gonna go home. Actually, like I'm good on this war thing. If
I
you
mean, like,
lead,
what?
if that's the voice leading us,
What?
I'm gonna go home, please. Thank you.
Speak up. What you say, Queen? I think she said. I think she said Bombay. I'm not sure. Maybe she'll say it again. Okay, she said it, but it's not like in that convention. I think we might die.
No, you're right. Oh man, we gonna die. That ain't it, man. That's not it. I don't understand why. Like I said, I don't understand why they were on the boat. Did I miss a plot? Did I miss something? There was a line or something. They had
they
a
were
plan
trying to
with
isolate them and meet them halfway on the ocean, but it's like you still meet them on their turf, and you
That
have
was the
one
dumbest-
Sonic engine, and that's it.
It was one. Like
Just the one. Y'all didn't have no planes ready as an exit strategy.
I hate to be that guy, but where does a landlocked country get a fucking boat submarine from? Just saying.
No,
Get it in the
fuck all
ocean.
that. They're supposed to be the smartest, most technically advanced country on the planet. And you're telling me we're gonna go in with one boat and we're just gonna get it out of there. No,
one boat.
no questions asked.
And the boat
One
didn't
Sonic
even
emitter.
do nothing. The boat was just big, and it had one little thing at the bottom. Like the boat was literally just a fighting platform. It didn't have no cannons on the side, no lasers.
Nothing. No offensive weaponry whatsoever. Hey, they coming up on the side. What can we do? Nothing.
Let's goddamn Carol rope down and fight them vertically.
Y'all ain't got no guns.
Y'all ain't got no EMP or no nothing.
No heat rays or something. I didn't understand that one. It was
not even a blaster, not pew pew, nothing.
Like, where were their fucking skyships? They have those like T'Challa mass skyships things.
I
don't
understand this movie. I didn't understand.
The way they should have been picking them off.
Now, yes, that made zero sense to me. I don't understand that one.
And let's also be clear, Namor was on his way to Wakanda to whatever. You tell me that's all the forces he had? They really should have stood there. They really should have been overwhelmed quickly. You're going to come here. Like, you're going to bring your little vibranium tugboat to the middle of the ocean with no guns, with one sonic emitter. Why don't I have my whole squad with me? The whole squad should have been there. That should have been Dunzo. The Black Panther will not return because the Black Panther is dead.
Yeah. Yeah. It fell apart. That third act fell apart for me. Like it was done. It was already it was already, but it was just another Marvel movie at this point. Like Black Panther used to mean something. Yeah. But at this point, it really just became another Marvel movie, which doesn't mean what it used to mean anymore. Unfortunately.
And you could say a similar thing happened with Shang-Chi, which I really like. After a certain point, it became another Marvel movie.
What part did you feel like it just became another Marvel movie?
The end. I'm talking about like going to like fighting with similar abilities.
Yes.
Yeah, same versus same.
Yeah.
Like it was just a lot of the same by the end of Shang-Chi. I don't know. But by that time, we already committed. You already invested your time, your money in it.
Right. I'm here.
Let's give them the hits, y'all. Let's bring back the classics.
So let's move on. Since we talked about most of the main characters and cast, what was some of the most memorable scenes that stood out to you guys? Like, what was both good and one bad thing? So we're about to get into the good, bad, and the ugly part. Okay.
The good. That fight scene on the bridge, that was dope. That was dope as hell. I don't know. I thought like Okoye might have been biting it at that point.
Right.
Because that was
it was
good. So she got like launched to the spear, like bounced off of that bitch. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
You about to get up out of here. This about to be your exit song.
True. I thought
you're about to go join Rick Grimes. Anyway,
oh no.
Yes, she
I was worried
I was super worried for her. And like the physicality of that scene, it was like, oh, they're really getting down here.
Yeah.
But the bad, I was sitting next to Marcel in the theater. I think we both got a laugh out of this. I'm not sure if Marcel's going to say this part or not. But when Namor came up out of the sea with little child Namor with the little wings, and he struck the pose, I was like,
I was like, just talking to somebody else.
That's supposed to be like that moment where he's like, these land dwellers ain't shit. And it's like that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was a little. Yeah. I got a genuine laugh out of that part.
Yeah, it was a good hearty laugh in the theater.
Yep.
In a serious moment, and I regret nothing.
Yep. For me, the best, well, not to say the best, but another good scene. I just don't want to repeat what James was saying because those were two good ones. You're right. That was a good scene and that was a bad scene. But another good scene was the opening, like not opening, but the introduction for Namor at the what was that, like a Marine ship or something like that from the United States. It showed that they were some badasses. I like that. It was a good introduction for those characters.
I think that might be a top 5 establishing villain shot in the MCU.
Yo, it was really good. It was really good.
Super good.
The people, when he had the Marines jumping off of the side of the ship through the singing of the song or something, that was pretty cool too, man.
That was unique.
Yeah, and it was unique, It established that I really was like, because you're going into the movie and it's like, man, how is Wakanda going to get out of this? How was a Black Panther? What could a Black Panther do to stop this? You know what I mean? Like they seem like a real threat, which I like.
Never mind the fact that by the time they got to Wakanda, they encountered that for the first time. They had earplugs ready to go. It was never a threat again.
They threw one bomb and destroyed all the singers. Remember that one scene? They just all the singers, I guess.
Vocal cords stopped.
That alone should have killed everybody that was on that ship. To be like that one thing, the war's over with. Yeah, 5-minute song. But
that was over.
How did they know? Anyway, so weird, but whatever. I guess that would have been too easy. That they brought 5 singers to anyway, whatever, and they all died from one bomb. But
they were standing together like the Temptations in the background.
They did.
They had a step to it and everything.
Yeah, all 4 or 5 of them. But they were just
ain't nobody coming to see you, Namor.
Hey, that's funny. Yeah. That's funny, man. Yeah.
Oh, man.
As far as bad, I'm gonna just keep it short because it was the whole third act was just horrible for me personally. I can't. It's not even. I guess it's all. The third act was kind of one scene, but the desert plus the desert wasn't so bad. I didn't mind the fight with Black Panther anymore. It was okay, but the ship, the whole idea of it, I was out of the movie at that point.
Yeah, that was definitely just dumb.
Yeah, I did.
They did too many cutaways for the scene, for that last scene for me, and still not believable that she could have beat him in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, maybe she had a better plan other than the air fryer. Like throw some electricity in there or something. Like shock him. Like. I get the fish out of water concept, cool, but he's still very super powerful and way stronger than you.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't work for me. But yeah, that whole ending just didn't work for me. It was crazy to me.
I'll have to say a good scene that I like, and I said it earlier, but Angela Bassett giving that "I've lost everything" speech definitely highlighted the film for me. Very great scene, and even giving a nod to her scene at the UN Council where she's like, I hear y'all whispering the king is dead and y'all are plotting and planning and scheming. I like that. I really like that. I felt her entire performance. Like there's not a wasted moment of her on screen other than her death scene, which I think was unnecessary.
She was white people. You thought.
Yeah. That was amazing,
Yeah.
Super amazing.
Yeah, that was
amazing. If she don't win something, man.
Yeah, she's got to win something.
She ain't gotta win it, y'all.
Even if it's a participation trophy, just give her something, man.
Give her something, but
give her an award, give her money, give her my hand in marriage, give her something. Something. Whatever you want.
I'll have to say my least favorite scene. I'm gonna pick something different, and just because like the overall theme of this movie in Phase 4, my least favorite scene would be and I'm not saying least favorite as in it was bad. It's just personally how it affected me is my least favorite. Because I'm a type of person, I don't deal with death and grief that well. So having to sit there and remember T'Challa and Chadwick Boseman and seeing all those scenes, as honorable and respectful as it was, and as great of a send-off as it was, it affected me really weirdly. Like I cried twice in that movie, and it was both during the opening credit scene with the Marvel logo, and it was no music, and it was all T'Challa. I cried then, and I cried at the end during the end montage of him, when Shuri's just reflecting on him and thinking about him, and it just made me realize like I don't deal with death and grief, so I didn't really like that. It made me emotional that way, and I'm man enough to admit that.
Now, Marcel can attest. Like when our movie theater, when they did the Marvel montage, it was dead silent in there. Except for when I said "damn" when it started.
Oh yeah, they started. Yeah, I think it started right away. They went from like commercial to movie. It's like it was no
commercial.
break.
Oh yeah, by the way, T'Challa's dead. It was like,
everybody's in the theater kind of talking and murmuring to each other. Then it just went silent as soon as the screen came on.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
That one almost got me. The funeral almost got me because you saw the picture. Like I wore all white to the to the movie theater, and the reason why I even have those outfits is because I'm African and I've done African funerals before, and that is almost exactly how it goes. Like, I mean, of course, on a less grand scale, like the family wears white and there's celebrations and dancing and music and all that stuff after the actual ceremony. And it took me back to my uncle who passed away of cancer some years ago. So that kind of got me right there. Like illness took a loved one, and the proceedings thereafter, that was very close to home. So I feel you, Mark.
I feel you too, man. Yeah, it was a powerful. I think it would have hit harder if I hadn't seen the trailer. The trailer was basically that open.
I agree.
Because the trailer almost had me. I literally watched the trailer one time before. When I first saw it announced, I was like, I gotta watch this, and that was the only time I saw it because it was very powerful. I didn't want to see that again. So
the trailer probably did more justice to the whole movie than the movie itself on the overall.
Damn.
Nah,
it was a good trailer.
Between the music, how the trailer was shot and the music accompanied it, like we gonna be all right with Tim's version of No Woman, No Cry. That was.
Yeah.
Woo.
I watched it before we got on here. I was downstairs looking at the trailer again. Well, I skipped the beginning with the funeral, but I started watching after that. But yeah, it was a good trailer. It was a good trailer.
Yeah, super good trailer. Marvel doesn't really miss on those. They don't really miss on those. But
rarely. Yeah.
I got an ugly thing I want to point out. Did you guys notice how the CGI was, especially during that?
It was pretty bad.
Act
it was pretty bad in the third act. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Okay.
Like especially like the Midnight Angel.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. I was like, oh, that looks like a fucking Digimon right there.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. A Digimon. That's exactly right. You're right. I ain't thinking that. Yeah. Like a Digimon, man. It looked
like a
weird.
Digimon had sex with a hollow from Bleach.
Oh my god, yeah. And then, like you said, like it was like so disorienting with like the camera turned sideways, and then like like okay, they're fighting vertically, not horizontally, and just trying to keep up with the action and stuff. And I'm like, no, Wakanda's way too smart. Why didn't they just have airships and like snipe them from the fucking sky? Like that just didn't make sense to me.
Take them hoes off. Die, little fishy.
Right. I didn't.
Or this is a bad culture joke. Probably have to cut this out. Why didn't they get the Japanese involved? They love seafood.
All right, so we haven't talked about it, fellas, and we got to talk about it.
All right.
The mid-credit scene.
Oh, yeah, we haven't talked about it. I'll pass on it. Some people liked it. How'd you guys feel? Some people liked it. I didn't really care for it.
I did not cry in the opening scene where I felt emotional, but that one almost got me.
Oh, really?
Like I am a hard person to make cry, but that
Not
one
me.
almost did it.
I
I
feel
feel
like they
you.
had a wasted line opportunity there that when they introduced Shuri and T'Challa, son of T'Challa, they should have, he should have said, "Hey, Auntie," and that would have been some nice homage to the first movie and kind of tied that in. So I feel like it was wasted. But I want to be honest, they telegraphed that throughout the entirety of the movie. Like whenever they introduced a Wakanda character, they was that person's character and their parent, and they all did that throughout. And I was like, "Yep, they're definitely going to introduce T'Challa's son at the end of this." I'm well versed with the comics to know that that's what they're going to do.
I told Marcel in the movie that I'm like, she got a son.
Yeah, you
Like,
did say that. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking that. I didn't wasn't even thinking of it. So it shocked me. I don't think
oh,
it hit like I think the movie was trying to make it hit. For me, it didn't. I don't know. The young girl, that kid was cute as hell. That was a cute kid, man. He sold it. It was nice, but
here's,
I don't know.
here's the,
It's like because I don't know what do we do with it. I guess I didn't know. I don't know what you do with this. So that's why I
all
didn't
right,
feel as much as I thought I was feel.
his existence didn't really move me. And he says there was Toussaint, which is a that was
Right.
a reference. If you
Yeah.
know, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, that was cool. But he said his name was. He said my name is Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa. I was like, ugh. That was the moment.
I
And
mean, it was
this
a nice
also
line.
here's also another reason. This personal, and I'm gonna share it with y'all. My same uncle who passed away from cancer
Uh-huh.
also has a son who's very young,
Uh-huh.
and I never got a chance to meet him. I haven't got a chance to meet him yet. I spoke to him on the phone, and it just kind of took me back to him
I
because
feel
he
you. I
also
feel
is
you.
going to grow. Yeah, he also growing up away from home, not knowing much of anybody with his mother, and cute kid, so much of a character from the times I've interacted with him. And this kid is just kind of just screamed like that to me.
I feel you.
So that also just like right here. On the overall though, I think what I think for this is it keeps T'Challa in the MCU in a way proper
In a way.
um, as a legacy. I don't think this kid is going to grow up to be Black Panther one day. I don't think he should. If you're going to commit to T'Challa being gone, then commit to him being gone. But this is the way that he stays in the MCU somehow. It's a way that a legacy character can stay in the MCU. Keep him away, keep him untouched. Like, just leave him be. If you're going to bring T'Challa in, bring in another T'Challa from the multiverse, something. That's your only recourse at this point. But this, I
Yeah.
thought that was beautiful. I thought that was like super well done and just a beautiful like final touch to Chadwick and T'Challa in the MCU. Until next time.
I want to kind of piggyback off what you said, and this is kind of their way of recasting T'Challa, but having it make sense to the storyline. They're not technically recasting him. This is a new character, and they're just calling him T'Challa. And I feel like they're obviously going to age him up. They're going to age up Wanda's kids for Young Justice, not Young Justice, for Young Avengers in Phase 5, Phase 6, whenever they do that, or whenever they do Secret Wars. So we know we're going to get another T'Challa Black Panther. We know T'Challa Star-Lord is a thing because of the multiverse. So I like how they did this. They didn't blatantly just recast Chadwick Boseman. Like you said, he's going to live forever in the MCU and be a crucial part moving forward just within his memory and legacy, like how they're going to do with Tony Stark's character and how they're going to do with Steve Rogers' character. It's their memories and what they stood for that these characters are going to derive their new motivations for. And I can dig that. And in the case of bringing in the T'Challa son of T'Challa, I like that. That was a really nice touch. I can't wait to see him grow up and see who they really cast to be Black Panther once they bring that character into the forefront with Young Avengers. So I think it's well done. As a movie, this movie was not that great, but as what it was for the culture and what it was for honoring Chadwick Boseman, this was like perfect.
That was okay. I think it. I think for what, if you take it for what it is, I think it was a nice little tribute. I think what bothered me is that I feel as if it has to just the nature of Marvel movies, it has to mean something down the road. And I think that's what's bothering me. It's like, what do we do with this 5-year-old kid. Like, what do we do with it? Like, well, are we supposed to be excited because he comes back once he's 5? What do you mean 20 years we're gonna see him again? I don't know. It just so for if you take it for what it is, it was nice and sweet. But I guess personally, I just was a little trouble because I'm like, what do we do with this information? Like, it's cute, but I want, I want a Black Panther, not a, I mean, it's cute, but what do we do with it? I was a little confused on what to
let's
do.
use this to talk about this because we haven't talked about it yet. But like this movie set up a lot of what Phase 5 and Phase 6 is going to do, and just this phase in general. You got the Young Avengers. Every MCU property that came out in Phase 4 introduced a new character that's going to be Young Avengers. You have a lot with the Dora Milaje spinoff and what they're going to do with those characters that came from this movie. Did any of y'all get the Doctor Doom hints that they kind of sprinkled in this, or am I the only one that kind of noticed that?
Please, what Doctor Doom hints did they throw in?
So like the professor that sold the Riri Williams' technology to the United States government, I feel like Dr. Doom has something to do with that, and I kind of get some vibes that they're gonna kind of blame what happened with Chadwick Boseman and Black Panther dying to something having to do with something Dr. Doom did. Because if you think about it,
I said, why do you think Dr. Doom had anything to do with that?
Well, think about it like this. So what other character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that would A, want vibranium, and B, also like some magical shit, and you get Dr. Doom? Because
there was no illusion to magic, though. I mean, who wants vibranium? Everybody did. That was
I was like, everybody wants it. That's a huge stretch. And who else has 2 bags? Dr. Doom. Like, come on, that's a stretch.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought you had some. I was like, oh, I must have missed something. That's a stretch. That's a stretch.
Yeah.
For me, that's a huge stretch.
And then when you look at like what Louis Dreyfus' character is doing and the president, because they alluded to the president of the United States in this movie a lot too, about what his plans were for Wakanda. Like, you kind of get that someone bigger is behind the scenes moving pieces and making things happen, because the next Black Panther movie is definitely going to be Wakanda versus the rest of the world with how they set everything up.
That's what I'm thinking what the Thunderbolts movie might be.
Yeah, right. Dr. Doom has nothing to do with the United States government.
I get some Dr. Doom vibes. It's hard to explain, but I feel like it's there.
No.
I don't see it.
Plus, if they were hinting at Dr. Doom, they wouldn't be that subtle of a hint where you got to guess and put. If they trying to put Dr. Doom in the MCU, they putting all nerds on alert. He coming. It ain't gonna be no little teep tap. Nah. Okay. Dr. Doom coming. Get your tickets now. That's how it would be if Dr. Doom was being. That's the way I feel.
Okay. Hey, all right.
You can't miss Dr. Doom.
You can't miss Dr. Doom.
Yeah, you kind of can't mess with Dr. Doom. Like, you gonna do it, just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, they don't even have an actor yet.
People will file in. People will file in to see MCU run Doom.
Yeah, when the X-Men and Fantastic Four come out, I'll have a renewed interest in the MCU. Like right now, they just what else am I gonna watch?
It's the post of the end. It's the post of Endgame.
Exactly. And like,
even with this as a bookend to Phase 4, it's just like, okay, this didn't even feel like an end of a phase. It just kind of just felt like another series of events that happened, and apparently the theme is grief and legacy and moving on. And it's just like, okay, well, how is this a step off point? How do I know that this is the next thing up after all that? We don't. It just is what it is. And that's just being frank about it. It is what it is. This film had to do a lot. It had to accomplish a lot. And I feel like it did what it had to do. As far as anything else is concerned, as terms like the MCU at large and how this movie will be viewed down the line, I feel like a lot of this movie is going to be remembered based on like how we're going to view Chadwick Boseman's death 5, 10, 20 years from now, because it's relevant to us in the release of this film. but it's not going to be to somebody who's watching it for the first time years later, or somebody who's young who hasn't seen it yet, or somebody who watched it as young who doesn't have like the full ramifications of what's going on, like for us. And I feel like for that's why I say Namor's performance will be remembered greater later, and why I feel like overall this movie will kind of suffer a bit because it's kind of a passion project and a tribute, and that works for now, but it's not going to work down the road.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I agree.
I could see that. I could see. I feel you. I feel it.
And to me, that on the overall, to me, it suffers. Like my overall score of the movie suffers because of that. Because everything relevant and thoughtful and heartfelt about it now, like how a lot of this movie is wrapped around T'Challa and Chadwick now, it's gonna water down.
I think it might still hold. I think it might still hold in the future because I mean they still tied to T'Challa from the first movie. So I mean, anybody catching up in the future, they're gonna take the journey through the movies. I think I see what you're saying. It's not gonna hit as hard.
No, it's definitely not gonna hit as hard.
I think it will still make sense. How about that? I think it will still make sense.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna make sense. It's definitely gonna make sense, but it's not gonna hit as hard.
It's nowhere near. Okay, in that sense, yes, it will not nowhere near as hard. Nowhere near as hard. So with that said, I give this movie a C.
Wait, we ain't got there.
Just another Marvel movie.
I got one more question. One more question.
Right.
Okay.
How do you think this movie stands with the first Black Panther? Because most sequels usually are worse than the originals, but do you guys feel like that this stands up and actually represents the original movie well, or
compared to the first, this trash?
Okay.
Garbage.
Okay.
Throw it away.
You say that?
And that first one was changed the world. I was a new black man after the first one. I was a new black man after that first one. This one just I keep saying it, and it really hits me when I mean when I say it, and there's a deeper meaning to when I say it, but it's literally just another Marvel movie at this point. That first one literally changed. It's to this day, it's my favorite movie ever made. Black Panther, 2018. That's my favorite movie ever made. But
it was the first one to hit a billy too.
There we go.
It was the first one to hit a billy.
That movie was
hit a billy.
Well, this one hit $1 billion too.
This one hasn't hit $1 billion yet.
One?
Yeah,
it just came out. It didn't hit no billion.
330 mil the first weekend.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was there you go. I'm sorry.
180 million first
weekend. But yeah, it has a chance to hit the billion, right?
Huh?
It has a chance to hit the $1 billion mark.
We'll see what it does this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see what it does, but I don't think so.
Oh no,
I don't think so. This movie was a lot. It had to do too much. And before it came out, people were already half and half. And people are already divided. I don't know half and half, but people are already divided on the movie and hadn't even seen it. And they're not going to see it. A lot of people not even going to see this movie.
And we haven't even talked about the fact, we haven't talked about the fact that includes the neckbeards, the racists, the incels, the sexists.
Yeah.
Like
they bigger now, man. 2018, we was on a roll at that time, but just as a minorities in this country, and then we got a black president. Our movie come out, a movie comes out with us that we've been waiting on, and he's a great character. He ain't the Falcon, he's an actual good black character. Then this
like African royalty.
Yes, come on, man.
Like somebody
that man had a cool ass introduction in Civil War.
Yeah, he did.
Great. I ain't never been so hyped for a man to get a solo movie.
Right.
I was hyped.
Look, the day that Civil War came out was one of the worst days of my life.
Oh, dang. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and hear me out, because me and my girlfriend at the time broke up that day.
Dang.
Yeah.
She was better after seeing Black Panther on screen, though.
I saw it right. But we saw the movie, then we broke up.
Oh, and dang. She wasn't meant to be.
Even on the drive home, even though it was kind of hard, bro, I was like, man, but that Black Panther.
Yeah. This feeling is only temporary.
Yeah.
T'Challa he gonna ease that pain for you. Give it a little minute.
Yeah, man. But
Marcel,
Um,
you brought up, you said something that I kind of want to talk about a bit. Like, what is it about T'Challa Black Panther that's like different than Captain Falcon or War Machine in the MCU? Because there are other black superheroes,
I
but
Yeah.
love
like
that
you
you
said,
said
it's
Captain Falcon.
him.
I
That's
love
his
that you
name. I'm
said
sorry, I
Captain
can't call
Falcon.
him Captain America.
Captain
It's so
Falcon.
hard. He was Falcon. He was a
Captain
magical
Falcon
Negro. He had
supremacy.
a white savior as his mentor, and now he's Captain Falcon.
Captain Falcon supremacy.
There you go.
I don't, he's royalty, man. He cool.
Yes.
He was so confident. He was just confident, cool character, collected. What's not to love? Like seriously, what's not to love? Like he even not even just the fact that he black. He literally like just stood out as a character that we had not been introduced to in the MCU at this point. He was Thor's a royalty too, but he's not king. He still was looking up to Odin. You know what I mean?
That's
like
different. Like
it's different.
Like hold up, man. Let's speak on it, man. You're talking about like black portrayal in film. Like we either thugs or broke or we can't speak well. This brother, like good looking brother, educated, regal, knows how to carry himself, like has decorum, knows how to dress, knows how to handle people of different walks of life. People know how to address him. Like he just had the swagger about himself.
Yeah.
Like this man was just different.
Yeah, as black people, we just wanted to see a character that didn't have baby mama drama and had a job. We just want that and not, being a coon on screen. But not only did we get more than that, we got a king. Like, come on, a literal king of a kingdom that we all wish we could live in. So it's like he was just, I don't know. That movie was more than a movie.
Like,
it was more
even
than just
when King T'Chaka was there, he still stood out.
That's what I'm saying, man.
He wasn't even king. And this brother stood, and even in the face of in the aftermath of holding his father's dead body, he didn't cry, he didn't rage out. He literally put the ring on and said, "Don't worry, Agent enough. I shall handle it myself." And did. Next time you see this man, he on a rooftop, suited and booted, with the claws out. If you want some, come get some.
I wanted him to get Bucky so bad. I was like, get his ass, Black Panther, get him.
I wanted to get Bucky, but it was like, but not too much on Bucky, though.
I like Bucky.
But not too much on Bucky, because it wasn't his fault.
It wasn't, but man, he was getting in Bucky's ass.
But I wanted him to succeed. He would have too. I think he had Bucky dead to rights like 3 times.
Man, Captain America couldn't even stand between. He was, hey man. Anyway,
so we haven't met yet. My name is Clint. I don't care.
All right, let me ask you guys this: just Chadwick Boseman and his career as a whole, like everything he's ever been in, since we're honoring him and his legacy. What's the one scene, the one thing that he was in that he portrayed that made you was like, yeah, this guy, he's gonna be a legend in his field outside of Black Panther? You have a whole legacy of him, discography, filmography you can pick on and go on. He was in 42. He was Ma Rainey. He's done a lot of great things.
See, Ma Rainey is like the easy one to pick from. If I just had to like readily pick one, but also, man.
Jackie, when I saw him in 42, I was like,
I saw him in 42. That was really dope.
Like the thing is, he didn't miss in anything he did.
He didn't, man. He didn't.
He didn't miss in anything he did.
Didn't.
Like even if you go to Lincoln Heights, man, like he was like that dude in that.
I didn't pay attention to Lincoln Heights.
Man, that was like, what was that? It was like ABC Family, Fox Family, one of them. But
I don't remember all that.
Yeah, that was way back in the day. But the scene, I'm sorry, I can't abide by those rules. The scene where he caught Zemo and he's like, vengeance has consumed them. It has consumed me. I cannot let it anymore. And like that whole scene, that was like, it
was good.
I'm
like, that's a king right there.
That's that guy. That's somebody that realized he was making a mistake, realized the close mistakes he was making in terms of that grief that he was feeling, and he course corrected in that moment.
That's a king mindset right there.
Exactly. It was regal. It was very poignant.
And that
God, I miss
feeling
that man.
felt earned. Shuri's
Yes.
feeling did not feel
Yes,
earned
it was
when she
earned.
switched. She just was ready to kill this man, then just had a flashback and never mind, you good. She just killed your mama like yesterday. What are you over it already? Come on.
It was pretty good that whole exchange because Zemo kind of caught like, yeah, bro, I killed your dad. It wasn't even my fault. He was a good guy, I'm sure.
That's what
and then he caught that bullet. He was like, the living are not done with you yet.
Come on, man.
Like,
that man's cold with it, man.
He was like, I might have been centering myself, but you still gonna get this justice. I'm not gonna kill you, but somebody's gonna deal with you. Guaranteed.
I'll say this. My favorite MCU moment of Chadwick Boseman is definitely Civil War. Like everything you talked about, his introduction, his interaction with Zemo, everything about him in that movie was well done and not a wasted moment him on camera. And I'm not gonna lie, I gotta give that Endgame moment where he came out the portal and brought the army with him. Like that was a big moment, but like that's more of a big MCU moment for me.
But just jump on the front line for my boy.
Right. That is how you Bombay.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
I wanted to get up there next to Captain Black Panther. I wanted to fight with him. Like, let's go.
He's like, you Bombay. He said, you Bombay. Oh, it's time to tussle then. It's time to square up then.
Put me in, coach.
We might meet Bash today, but I'm gonna take him with me.
Man.
That's on Hanuman.
Man, yeah.
My favorite Chadwick Boseman moment, I don't know if you guys remember this, but when Black Panther first premiered, he hosted SNL and he did a little skit called Black Jeopardy with Kenan Thompson and the other two Black cast members, and the funniest skit in SNL history, I feel like. I don't know if y'all have seen it, James. I think you've seen it, but like go on YouTube and watch it. It is phenomenal. It was hilarious. That was my favorite moment of him, just being in that limelight, knowing that he was still sick with cancer at that time and it was still a secret, but he was having fun. He was portraying the character. He was being himself. And he was just happy, and that's just one of just my personal favorite moments of him. That's not like MCU related.
Oh hell not Karen.
Right? Yes. Oh hell not Karen. You take your unseasoned food somewhere else.
I think I know how this game goes now.
It was okay.
Oh, fuck you. All right. You just can't have fun.
He is a legend, man.
He is a legend. He is a legend.
He is a legend. And I've done like a couple of episodes and I've done a podcast episode about him and what he meant just to have that representation of a character, just even for the brief time in which we got it, man, just like how it meant so much. Just to have somebody that looks like you. Like, and of course, you hear that all the time these days, but it's like, we never really got that. Like, we as Black men never really got it like that.
Not like that,
man. An African king. Like, just, and he carried himself like that. And he, like, on and off screen, man, he just carried himself like a king. And it's just,
man.
To lose that, and, man, it still hurts.
It does still hurt.
To this day, it hurts.
Yeah, that's like the only celebrity death I really just felt. I really wanted to, like, I was at work. I just wanted to go home, to be honest with you. I was like, man, that's so unfortunate.
Especially that
both. You know what? Kobe was huge too. Kobe was huge.
Kobe was bad. Kobe was a bad.
It was such a. I mean, they always a surprise, but yeah. But
I don't know. Like, there's few of them that hit like that hard. Like, me personally, he's top three, like easily top three. Him, Kobe, and Mac Miller. Like, those three like hit like extraordinarily hard. Takeoff, like that hit something crazy too. But those three, definitely, man. Because and it goes so quietly, and it kind of have and even like on his way out, just to be mum about it, not seeking any like
Man,
sympathy or any like extra like
that's what
brownie
makes him so
points
special to
for it,
me.
and to be going through it for so long, like, and just conduct himself in his life like that on the way out. Got married, had a kid, and was dealing with it for 7 years, bro.
Come on, man. That's what I'm saying. That's why it was so special
7 years.
to me,
Yeah.
man. It's what people, and that's what, and it just puts things for me. It just puts life into perspective. People complain and cry about the smallest stuff. I mean, just because of what I go through personally in my life, just dealing with my mother.
Right.
But it's like people going through so much, and people cry and complain about the smallest, stupid stuff. Don't you know you could be dying today? You could not make it home tonight, and you are crying because somebody didn't text you back. I guess to a person that's going through a lot, it just seems like such a small problem, and to others it may not be. But I don't know. For him to be going through all that and to still continue to push through, you know what I mean? Some people got big because they just didn't get 8 hours of sleep last night, and this man's
Right.
really dying and is still showing up to work and winning Oscars doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
He did his own stunts too, didn't he?
Huh?
He did his own stunts too, didn't he?
Yeah,
Or
he
did
did a
he
lot
do
of his
it?
own stunts.
See, this one. Come on, man, ridiculous. And
He
people had the nerve to
literally-
be clowning him before he passed. His last public appearance, like not appearance, but like I think he released a picture, or I think it got leaked or something. Remember the picture where he had lost a lot of weight?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people were clowning him or something. Like, what is this man on crack or something? And the man died like not too long after the picture was.
Yeah, I
released.
remember that shit. That
Yeah.
shit like was
I
fucked
was like,
up.
come on, man.
People are
I
just
know the person's going through.
insensitive.
Yeah.
For one, is I don't know, man. Just when I think about like him, like it's just the word I think of is just grace, man.
Oh
He just
yeah,
handled
that's
everything
the
was
word. Yeah. That's
graceful.
yeah, man. Imagine him still being like imagine him another. He only had a 2-decade, 20-year career. Imagine him Denzel's age, the stuff this man would have accomplished. Like, come on, man.
Oh yeah, he
put in
definitely would
20
have been
years.
the prominent black actor that everybody bounds over, like how we do Denzel at his peak. Like he would have definitely he was aiming
better,
for that
but
level.
even more.
Yeah, like he would have
so.
surpassed it definitely.
Yeah.
Probably will surpass it, even in death. Will probably surpass that status.
I don't know about all that,
I think
but
so.
at this point, but you were talking about like reverence and what could have been. I think he might be one of Black Hollywood's biggest what ifs.
Oh yeah, he definitely a Black all-star.
Like Black Hollywood's one of the biggest what ifs because we just don't know how high it could have gone, and he was definitely like had so much more room to grow.
He did.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Ooh. What was he? 38?
42.
42?
I think it was 42, I believe. Yeah, I think.
That's crazy, young, and that's really not like a far cry from where we all are now.
No, it's not.
Yep.
But with all that said, what do you guys rate this movie? We got to go ahead and wrap this one up.
C minus.
C minus.
Objectively, it's a C minus. Not bad. It sounds harsh, but I mean, C minus is not bad to me. As you pass, it's passing grade. Make a Black Panther 3, which was you pass. Subjectively, that shit was an F.
Marcel is a very harsh critic to those out there, so
I am a harsh critic.
You
have
two.
I can't remember the budget. I don't even want to take the time to look it up. But you had $200 or $300 million to make a movie. You get no room for making mistakes here. Like you can hire anybody on the planet. You got any effects you got the money to provide any effects you want to provide. You can do whatever you want to do, all the stunts, explosions, and this is what you come out with. Not this movie in particular, just me being a harsh critic, but just you get like this is what it is. Don't get me wrong, I do respect the art of movie making. I truly do, and I think we all do. But it's reviewing the movie in this particular case, I give it a C minus. Objectively, subjectively is a fail because it's not what I wanted.
So. Okay, what about you, JB?
First time I saw it, I gave it a fringe C+, B-. After seeing it a second time, I'm gonna go solid B-. Solid B-. Only because like this movie had a lot to do and it had a lot to manage, and in the runtime it had with everything going on around it in the present day, I think it did what it had to do. I think it did a good job with that. The story was solid. I'm a story guy first. Like
Story was solid,
story was very solid.
which is saying
Not
a
a lot
lot
of
nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in the MCU. Especially when they like they recant things and change things up on a whim these days. Like Hulk got a whole ass son now. He was
Right.
going to go on a
Oh
year,
my God. You need to
but
come on my podcast next week, buddy. We're gonna talk about that.
but aside from that, yeah, it just did what it could. The story was very solid. I'm a hole poker when it comes to stories. I can't poke too many holes in this, and I
Yeah.
try. I actively try to do so, and there's not a lot I can do. And yeah, B-.
Okay. Um, I actually agree to an extent on a lot of what you guys said about this movie. There's a lot of holes in this movie, a lot of leaps of logic or whatever. But this movie had a lot of things to do. It had to honor Chadwick Boseman. It had to, get Shuri to become Black Panther. It had to introduce Namor and a bunch of new characters, Riri Williams. It had to book in Phase 4 and kind of be a launch pad for Phase 5 and Phase 6 and what's to come. So yeah, this movie had a lot to do. It was very busy at times, but at the same time, out of all the movies that came out in Phase 4, especially with Phase 4 being the multiverse, the beginning of the multiverse saga, I felt like this was a good standalone kind of story. It did its best to just let it tell its story to the best as possibly could without being too bogged down with the future and all these other things that this phase has set up. And ultimately, it was a great send off, but it was a great tribute to Chadwick Boseman. But that's what it was. It was just a great tribute to me as a movie. If you take out the loss of Chadwick Boseman and everything, it wasn't really that good of a movie, and I don't think it stands up that well. I think it was clunky at parts, and it kind of failed. It didn't stick the landing exactly with what it was trying to set up for future movies and future phases. So with that, I have to give it a C. I really have to give it a C. But as far as movies in Phase 4, I think it might be one of the best movies that came out in Phase 4. Just Phase 4 movies alone.
And that bar is in hell.
We'll talk about that in my podcast next week when we discuss Phase 4. Because I have a lot to say about it. But overall, as a movie, it's a C. But as far as Phase 4 alone, it's probably one of the best movies to come out in Phase 4.
I feel you. And I am being a little harsh, but I do feel you. It was a solid movie. It was a solid movie.
Solid don't pay the bills. Yeah, it does.
I mean,
it
Marvel
does.
it does.
Do not listen to me because Marvel was going to make money at this point. Despite it, it's going to make money.
That's what I say. Yeah, when you Marvel, you can get away with being a regular old movie.
Exactly. Looking at you, Moon Knight.
Oh my God, Phase 4 podcast needs to hurry up and get here next week. I have so much stuff to say, but is there any final thoughts, anything about we want to say? I feel like we said a lot.
Yes, we did.
We really have. I think, I don't know. Are there any stones that we have left to turn in this?
I'm sure there are. Yeah. But
I'm sure we're gonna look back at the end of Phase 5 and Phase 6 and look at this review and like, oh man, if we only knew what we knew then, now, or whatever.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm with you, Marcel. At this point, I'm really just waiting on Fantastic Four and X-Men. Like, I'm kind of done with
all that matters
the
at this
MCU.
point.
Like, that's all I want to see. Just give me that, and I want to be done with it. I don't want to do no more phases past 6. Like let your story wrap up there. Don't do like 7, 8, and 9, and do some other weird shit that no one's gonna care about unless you're really deep into the comics. Which I guess they could do the Onslaught saga and just end it all, but we'll see what they do.
They do Secret Wars. You can hit the whole reset button right there.
That's true. They could do the whole reset button right there, and just
they haven't even
back to standalone movies that don't have to be cinematically connected together.
Exactly.
But I'll get into that with my Phase 4 thing, because I do start to have like some downsides to this whole cinematic universe thing that everyone's trying to do, and only the MCU done right, and everybody else has kind of failed at it. Superhero fatigue is a thing. It's definitely a thing.
I'm sure it is.
I'm not fatigued of the superheroes. I'm not fatigued of the superheroes. I'm fatigued of the mediocrity that we've got.
Yeah. Which is, I feel like, is inevitable with superhero fatigue. You're gonna start to get mediocrity because it's just gonna get saturated with that kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, just the quality that they've given to us recently, and that's why it's a B- from me, is because what we've gotten to this point relatively from Marvel, really since Infinity War, has just been subpar stuff. It's been subpar CGR, subpar writing. The only thing that I'll constantly give a thumbs up to in Marvel is the casting, and everything else is just really just iffy as hell. So I'm tired of the mediocrity, and the fact that this movie, like writing wise, was just so tight, just makes it stand out by comparison.
Yeah,
that sucks. Because this movie really is just okay in the big scheme of things.
It's just okay.
It's really just okay, but because of everything else it's surrounded by, like, it looks much better than what it is.
Right.
Yeah. Closing things, I would say that I just want to say again what I said at the end of during when you and I spoke, Mark, during the Doctor Strange review, in that I think we're entering a space with Marvel movies where I don't know, they have to make a change. They have to do drastic, out left field changes and things, because they're starting to get into a rant. Without Captain America, you don't have the staples, right? We don't have Hulk. We don't have Captain America, Iron Man. Like, you're starting to introduce characters that even most people like me don't know.
Even remember or know, because they have no connection to, because they grew out of the comics at that time.
The big cliffhanger at the end of Doctor Strange, they introduced a character that I did not know. Now, I'm not saying she's not important. I got schooled on who she was, and I now have a better understanding. But I literally
at that time I didn't know who the fuck she was, and I had to Google it.
But even with her, it's just kind of like one of those. Okay, you exist in a world, and you're his wife, and okay, whatever.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, they're introducing characters, and they're doing things now that I've literally been doing this my entire life. I've been reading comics, playing video games, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon card, I'm in this nerd world, and you're starting to introduce characters that I don't even know. Like, if I don't know them, then the average viewer that makes up, I'm sure, over 2/3 of the revenue of these ticket sales aren't going to know these characters either, so, and it makes it hard for people to be connected. It kind of kills the culture of this movement that's going on. So it's like, because like, what do you like I said, I'm just looking for the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Like, I don't give a damn about no Young Avengers. I barely know who in the Young Avengers. The Thunderbolts, no. I mean, I saw the, I'm still watching D23. I saw D23 and like the introduction, the posters and all that, and it looks interesting, but like, it's still like an introduction to something I don't know. Like, I already know who Iron Man was and Captain America.
They're the bad boy Avengers.
Yeah, and I mean, nobody knows that, but like,
except they're all the same person.
But that's my point. Nobody knows that though. Like, no one knows. I mean, a few people know. The people that attend D23 probably know, but I mean, like, the average person is just like, okay, who is that again? Like, I don't know. I think we're losing steam is what I'm trying to say.
Read the comics. I'm like you and James. I grew up with all this stuff too. But yeah, I agree with you. You're introducing characters that either nobody cares about or nobody likes, and you're going to lose your 1/3 of your core audience. And if you lose that core audience, the other 2/3, the people who just go because they like going to movies, ain't going to, you know, catch up or follow along, and you're just going to have a lot of hit and miss. God, I forgot what I was going to say. One thing that how can I say this? They're losing us. Like, they're losing me. Like, you know, I keep saying, like, I'm having superhero fatigue, and they keep coming out with these things I don't really care about. Like, what's on the slate coming out? Ant-Man Quantumania, you got Echo. I don't care about Echo. Maybe Daredevil, but just because, like, I saw Daredevil in the She-Hulk thing, and I'm like, yeah, let me give that version of Daredevil a chance and go back and look at his series in Netflix and see
Charlie Cox is the shit.
Say what?
Charlie Cox is the shit. They put him in everything.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, he was really good. So I want to go check that out, but it's not much else. Like, I do want to see what they do with Kang. Jonathan Majors was really good as playing him with in Loki, but you know, I just give me X-Men, give me Fantastic Four, and let me go off into the sunset after that.
That's really all that's left. That's major.
Right. That's really all that's left. Like, it's not too much that they can do. That's gonna be like great. Like, the stakes are like, I know these characters are gonna survive. I know they're gonna ultimately win and have that triumphant moment. But you know, and we're gonna talk about this a lot next week in my Phase 4 podcast. But like, you know, you're going through Endgame fatigue. You had such a great ending with Phase 3 and Endgame. It's going to be hard for them to compete with their own creation that they made. So moving forward, they're going to struggle unless they just give us, the fans, what they want, and which, you know, they kind of have been. Phase 4 has been a lot of fan service. But let's go ahead and end this. My phone is dying. I'm at 3% right now. Thank you guys for coming on the Blurred Cast. Marcel, JB, thank you so much. Go ahead, if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to their channels. They are featured in the featured section on my page, so go ahead and check them out. I'm sure Marcel's going to change his name eventually, but you know, if you like, Marcel covers tutorial editing videos and things like that, and JB does more nerd culture shit like me. So thank you guys for coming on. This has been fun. I think we said a lot. I think it was a lot going on, man. But thank you guys for coming on. And see y'all next week. I'm just ending like that. Just see y'all next week.
All right. So, gentlemen, let me thank you guys for your time. Mark, tell the people online where they can find you.
You can find me, Blurredography, on YouTube, and you can find me Blurredcast everywhere else where you listen to your podcast. And, you know, blurredography.com. All
right. Marcel?
You know what it says. You can find me on Instagram and on YouTube, Marcel S. Williams.
All right. And then you know where you can find me. All my links are down in the thingamabob down below, and wherever you can find me on the interwebs. Don't forget to argue with me at jbvtheworld.com, jbvtheworld on Twitter, because versus was just too long for it. And that's it, y'all. I appreciate you guys' time. This is a really good discussion. I'm really glad that we got a chance to do this. We should do this again more often. And yeah, Wakanda Forever. JB out, y'all.
Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, all that.